Hi everyone, Lisa Resnick here, Homes and Hops with Tim, White Glove, you name it, YCC, that's Youngstown Clothing Company, for those that don't know the acronym, the cool hip acronym for Youngstown Clothing Company, which I do have a few t-shirts. I was going to sport one today. However, it's a little bit chillier than I anticipated, and I am a wuss when it comes to the weather.
This is perfect YCC weather. T-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, you know.
I know. I don't have the hoodies though. I want to get the Mill Creek hoodie.
Oh, you know what we've got right now? We're working on building up some cool stuff. We're going to be rolling out some brand new Mill Creek Park stuff here once things get a little bit closer to normal. So we're pumped about that. We're still trying to work on some of that stuff in the background right now.
And what you got to think, Mill Creek Park right now, I mean, when I was growing up, Mill Creek was like the place to be. Like literally, like we would cruise, and I am not that old, but like we would cruise from the flats all the way around to where the marshlands are.
Yeah.
Where you can walk, and it used to not be that. It just used to be straight up grass everywhere. And then they constructed that, I don't know, about a decade or so back. But everybody used to hang out there. The flats was a magnet for teenagers to picnic, throw the frisbee, flirt.
It's pretty packed right now. I mean, we've been, for our time to get, spend together with the family and get out of the house for a minute, we'll just hop in the car and go for a quick ride. We drove through the park yesterday, and it was beautiful. There was a ton of people that were walking around. The park's so big, everybody can be nice and spread out. And the weather was right. So I think people, if nothing else, are appreciating what a tremendous asset Mill Creek Park is to our community now, probably more than ever. So.
Very, very true. And there's tons of other parks for us to check out too. We are very blessed in our area. There's parks out in the Trumbull area. There's Crandall Park. You even go out to Columbiana. You have Firestone, as well as my family. We ventured to Beaver Creek in East Liverpool, which isn't that far away either. There's just beautiful landscape over in our area that we can definitely take advantage of right now, more so than ever, because we've been just so busy in our lives that now, if anything, we have the time.
Right.
Which is great. And it's also great to get outside the house in a safe social distance way. So
yeah, not locked in my basement.
Yeah, which that's where you're currently located, right?
Yes, this is the mobile headquarters of HD Davis CPAs, White Glove Payroll, and YCC at the moment. So we're all collectively trying to figure out our own different ways to work through this, and so far so good.
So going back, Tim, seriously, no joke, has his hands in a magnitude of pots, and which is awesome, because that just goes to show your creativity and how you are a strong entrepreneur yourself. So let's go through the gamut of what all falls under Tim's umbrella.
Well, I mean,
before we do that, let me crack open my Penguin City.
Good.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I need the bottle opener. Oh, well, go on.
So our main business is HD Davis CPAs. We've got about 32 employees between our three offices. And we service small to medium-sized businesses as well as individuals. We have a strong footprint in the real estate community. We do a ton of work with a lot of restaurants and hospitality groups. Do a lot of work in the manufacturing and professional services space. We've got a pretty wide range of individuals and businesses that we service, anywhere from, probably 100 million in revenue and below, all the way down to the guy cutting your grass. We've got just about every business in just about every size. So, which has made this pandemic, from an economic standpoint, has has been insanely unique and difficult to manage with that wide of an array of clients. So we've been spending a boatload of time working with as many of our clients as possible to help them get through this madness.
And right now, the small business loan that is being offered via the stimulus package, I mean, how easy is that to be obtained by these business owners right now?
Well, the problem at this point has been that you're dealing with an entity which is the SBA, the Small Business Administration, that normally will do a fraction of the loans that it's about to do in a week in an entire year. So what a lot of people need to remember is that the infrastructure is the part that is making all this difficult, is that the SBA itself has to figure out all the different questions and nuances that might come into things as people are applying for these loans. And then they have to take that information and give it to every single bank. And then every single bank has to make their own rules as to how they're going to process the applications. And then, we as advisors to our clients have to learn how every single bank handles what you would think would be the same thing. But banking is complicated. Banking is one of the most regulated industries in the United States. So there's a tremendous amount of red tape. There's a tremendous amount of steps that need to be taken on their end from a regulatory standpoint to just get everything together.
They're very regulated, but they also have their own rules and policies within each of their institutions, which, I mean, hence the reason why anybody who works with a real estate agent and you're purchasing a house, an agent may have a preferred lender. However, They're always going to say shop around. Like, make sure that, because every single lender is going to be able to provide you, you'll probably get a different rate. And they'll offer you other different incentives, if you will, which are all within the realms of regulation. But that's why it's important for people to do it. And I'm sure it's being impacted. And it's the same deal with the small business loan.
Yeah, it's certainly it's a unique monster. But after Friday was the first day that people were Friday the what was the date? Does anybody know what day it is? First of all, no. So Friday the 3rd was the first day that people could even submit anything to any banks, and none of the banks were even ready till the afternoon. So we were literally from Friday night. I started submitting applications at about 6 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Took a break, took a couple hour nap, got back to it, started submitting more applications with our clients. I was calling my clients at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, look, I'm up, you're up. The only way that you're going to get this thing done is if we submit it now, because the problem is they allocated about $350 billion to this loan fund, but there's 30 million small businesses in the United States of America. So if you do the math, it's about 12 grand a business, and these loans can go up to 10 million bucks. So that money's gone quick.
That is. And I know that the system's crashed a few times, in which, in my mind, that just reminds me of any new large mass base that you're servicing. And if you recall with healthcare, when they rolled out the whole healthcare program, I mean, they experienced the same issues with it crashing or people having difficulty with the systems.
Yep.
So, I mean, I always expect that with any new technology or anything like that. It's not that it's not frustrating, but nothing is going to roll out the first time and roll out completely smooth.
Not in a week. I mean, you look at what it takes to just make a regular website. If I just wanted to make a website for, HD Davis CPAs, I just wanted to put information up there. That by itself takes days, once you design all the stuff and get it working right. But you know, remember with the banks, you're uploading social security numbers, you're uploading financially sensitive information. So it complicates that website by 100 times. So, for anyone to expect them to figure that out in a week and for it to not go through without any problems was crazy. But I will say every bank has done a fantastic job implementing this stuff with what they've had to deal with. So, I mean, I'd say that by now, after have been doing these for a few days, just about every bank has their process pretty well hammered out. They're overwhelmed because of the volume of applications, but they know how to go through everything.
Now, if
So-
you're a small business, I mean, and this might be too extensive of a question to answer, and if that's the case, by all means, just let me know. But what would be the criterion? So like when I think about the small businesses, especially like the ones that I'll interact with, like anything from Gray Boutique to Birdfish Brewing Company, Noble Creature, West Side Bowl, all these various small businesses that we have located, what is the criterion in which they would need to fall into in order to apply?
Well, so there's two loans right now, basically. There's the payroll protection loan, and there's a loan called the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. The main component and difference between the two of them is that the payroll protection loan is based on payroll. So someone could go out and take out a loan for 2.5 times their average monthly payroll. And then what happens is once they get the loan, if they spend that money on payroll and rent and utilities, then they can potentially get all of it forgiven. But for, a lot of small businesses, a lot of sole props and smaller operations don't even have payroll. So those folks probably won't go through the payroll protection loan, at least in the first week. I've been pointing a lot of those folks to the economic injury disaster loan because it's just a loan.
Okay.
It's a very low interest rate, very favorable loan for folks that maybe don't have those relationships already established with some of their banking institutions to get loans. And then the payroll protection loan is supposed to expand on Friday the 10th to include self-employed folks,
Okay.
like realtors. Realtors are probably the big one that are going to start to look at this week.
I know. I will say Ohio Realtors, they've been absolutely fabulous in providing information to us because obviously our business has been impacted.
Yeah.
When it comes, I mean, people are hesitant to list their properties right now, and that's understandably so. And buyers are even hesitant to go see various properties. And again, I mean, it's while we are considered essential to the actual buyers and sellers out there, is this action really essential right now, especially because things are so up in the air with people. And we do have so many small businesses that are being impacted. So,
yeah, I mean, this would be a very difficult time to make that big of a decision, like buying a house or moving or any of that.
it definitely would be, because you would sit there and, I mean, we're right now offering, I mean, not us real estate agents, but with the stimulus package, they're offering a 6 months deferment on your mortgage right now.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
the lowest interest rates we'll probably ever see for our entire lives.
I know, which at one point it stinks that if people don't have the ability to exercise the chance to get that 2.8 interest rate on a conventional. Now, granted, there's definitely other variables that come into play to get that interest rate, but it's just a unstable environment right now when it comes to purchasing or selling homes, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Refining, however.
Now might be the time, but the people that are undoubtedly overwhelmed right now are the bankers. So whether you're refinancing a house or you're applying for one of these loans, these bankers are working. I mean, the old adage was these guys work banker hours, right? They work 9 to 5. All of my buddies in the banking industry are working until the wee hours of the morning. They're 24/7 right now. They are just slammed and trying to take care of as many people as they can.
It's nonstop. And just like you've been super busy as well because of your role in people's businesses. Then you also have like Ellie Platt, how busy she is right now as an insurance provider for residents and businesses. So it's interesting to see the different dynamics of one industry and it broken down into different factions and how each one is being impacted by it.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see, the other people in our field too, trying to figure a lot of this out. And some of the accountants, some of the CPAs have basically just said, "Hey, go talk to your bank." And a small group of us have kind of collectively looked at this and said, "Look, our clients are the ones that feed our families. Our clients are the ones that
Yep.
pay our bills, and allow us to live the life that we do and do the things that we want to do and pay our bills. So the last thing that I'm going to do is leave anybody high and dry right now. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that any and all of our clients that need it, I don't care how much I got to work. I'm going to do what I can to make sure they're all taken care of."
I know that some of the small businesses in the area have reached out to their lender with if they own space that they're paying their mortgage payment on, even though it's a commercial loan, still asking to see if there can be any deferment of their mortgage payment as well. And which I know that some of the banks in the area have definitely helped out the businesses by allowing a little bit of a reprieve for them, which is
Yeah.
helpful.
There's been a ton of that. I mean, just about any and every bank that we've talked to with our clients has been more than happy to extend any type of forbearance or deferral or anything like that. They've got that down pat. They've been pretty smooth as far as that goes. The difference between the last time we lived through something crazy like this back in 2008, 2009 was that, the banks were kind of at the center of it before on the negative side. And
Yeah,
now the
very
banks,
true.
they're kind of stronger than ever right now. So that's what makes me feel like we're going to come back from this thing pretty quick, is that, as long as the banks maintain that strength, then everything else will fall into place. Unfortunately, there'll be a lot of businesses that don't come back. There'll be a lot of places that just didn't have enough set aside to be able to survive something like this. So it's going to be sad to see a lot of that happen.
Now, it is going to be sad because, I mean, we definitely don't want to imagine a world without our royal oaks, without our noble creatures. And this is me taking that from Nate at Westside Bowl. And it's true. You don't want to imagine our area without any of these businesses that have become such phenomenal staples and honestly active community members themselves.
Yep.
So
And what we have to remember here specifically is that our community is used to this. We've been scrapping and fighting for decades. So, in my opinion, I think that we locally will see less of an economic impact once the dust settles than maybe some larger places that have had a soft, cushy life. Here, we got to work our asses off. Nothing is handed to us here. Nothing is, so I think that that's our advantage through this, is that the Royal Oaks, specifically, when you bring up the Royal Oaks, I would venture to guess it would take something like a nuclear holocaust to put the Royal Oaks. They've been thriving on the east side of Youngstown for how long?
They are thriving.
I mean, they're thriving by Royal Oaks, Youngstown standards, and I don't see that changing. I mean, I see a lot of our smaller shops. They know how to survive. They know how to get skinny. We are very resourceful here in Youngstown. Unfortunately, a lot of the big cities are not as resourceful.
And we're very tight knit.
Yes.
So, and we definitely like to support our fellow Youngstonians and those in the Valley to make sure that at the end of the day, you're still around and whatever you need will be there for you. And which is a unique quality that we have in our area that I have not seen. And I've lived various places, and only here is that quality. Not saying the other places are bad, but it's just not as strong.
We're a scrappy bunch. We look out for each other. Yeah, it's the one thing that I've always loved about Youngstown. That's why that I've always been so passionate about any and all of our businesses, is that the people here just care more. When you put somebody's feet to the fire and you put somebody into a crisis, you really find out what people are about. You find out, what people really are, and you can see a lot more truths when you put people into a corner. And I think that that's something now that we're seeing time and time again, that a lot of these small business owners and local leaders are stepping up now because they know that that's what it's going to take to carry the rest of the community through it. And, that's why I've always been proud to live here, and that's why I'll never go anywhere else. So.
Unless on vacation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get a vacation every now and again. But.
So what do you think about the whole extended tax season?
I have mixed feelings about it. So tax season for me naturally is a blessing and a curse, right? So we have more work than we know what to do with. We're extremely blessed because we're able to work as much as we want to. The extension of tax season, what I always told people is, hey, I don't mind working 100 hours a week when it's January and February and March in Northeast Ohio. There's nothing else to do. Who cares? And if I can make sure that I have a comfortable lifestyle the rest of the year, then I don't mind doing it. What I would dread would be working 100 hours a week in like June. So I've done that before. I have, I've cut my teeth on 100-hour weeks for a long time. And I won't do it anymore. So, I mean, the extension of tax season is nice. It gives you a little bit of room. We're probably going to get most of our stuff done by mid-May that we would have otherwise gotten done in mid-April, just because we lost a couple of weeks because of helping everybody with these loans. But so I'm back and forth about it. There are times where I say, man, it sure would be nice to have a little bit more time. And then at the same time, like, no, I just like for it to be miserable for a shorter period of time. That's it.
I think we have a tendency to then still wait.
Yeah.
And then you're still.
Everybody does. Yeah.
So
everybody.
I will have to say, on my to-do list, every day I wake up and I write my list of to-dos, things I want to try to get accomplished in the day. Mm-hmm. And at the very bottom, every time I do have taxes. I have not crossed that one off my list yet. Yeah.
But, you're not alone, unfortunately.
But it is my goal. And then after all this, then I'm going to be bothering Tim to help me make sure that the Homes and Hops LLC is appropriately done, because one of the best advice that I ever got was by an awesome guy in Columbiana that is on their city council. And when he first started his business, he thought to himself, even with the advice of his family, to make sure that he was like, make sure you have an attorney and make sure that you have a CPA. Like you need these things when you open up a business. And his response was, well, I'm not really generating the revenue right now that it's necessary for me to have that expense.
Yep.
And then he's like, yep, should have listened, because that was when I did engage, I realized how much easier and better things could be once I had those resources with me.
Yeah, I mean, what people got to remember is that.
And then I think I reached out to you right after.
I think so. Yeah. The accountants and the attorneys know a lot of people in the community. So if nothing else, it's one thing to give people advice about accounting in legal, but it's another thing just to make connections for people. We know the small businesses that are, making coffee or selling T-shirts or selling insurance. And when somebody walks into my office and says, hey, I'm starting a business doing X, Y, and Z, one of my first responses is, all right, well, you should talk to this person, this person, this person, because those are the connections that you'll probably need for your business to be that much more successful.
So you just touched based on coffee and T-shirts. Can you explain the whole dynamic and the connection of Stone Fruit and Youngstown Clothing Company, and how you guys all intermingle together, and how Youngstown Clothing Company, how you guys came to fruition?
Yeah, so my world is weirdly incestuous. Okay, so most of everything that I do kind of starts and ends with the CPA firm. I've made the majority of my contacts and connections from, helping people start their businesses and helping people grow their businesses, and being a financial coach and advisor to my clients. And then sometimes you never know where things go, right? So I met the guys at YCC down at the Youngstown Fleet, and we became good friends, and started to make some of those connections. And I said, hey, you should talk to this person. You should talk to this person. You should talk to this person. And finally got to the point where it said, okay, well, if you guys want some help growing this business, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to get involved, and I think we could do a lot of cool stuff together. And then we formally partnered up after I think they were in business for maybe about a year at the Fleet. And Josh and I had been buddies since he started the first Stone Fruit. And the first Stone Fruit was in Canfield by the bike trail. And it was a hole in the wall. But when you went in there, the difference between going into Stone Fruit and going anywhere else was like cheers, right? So you walk in and everybody knows your name, and they're talking to you, and it's a fun environment, and it's a place you want to be. It's an experience. And it was an experience when it was in a super shitty little building. And now,
I love that little building. The runner that I am, I still will like run down to that coffee place before I get over to watch my kids play flag football.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so Josh continued to grow. Josh continued to do some super cool stuff. And now he's got this beautiful enterprise. And Josh is one of my favorite entrepreneurs at Stone Fruit. Josh Langenheim is just one of those people that just has an infectious attitude. He wants to work super hard. He wants to work his tail off. He wants to do what's necessary to help his business succeed. And that's what a lot of people don't see. They see the good stuff. They see the Instagram vacations, and they see the nice car. They see this, that, and the other thing. They don't realize how much time and work it really takes to make a successful business. So Josh is one of those people that just gets it.
Sorry, that was one of my kids walking through.
And so naturally there was a friendship there with Josh. And we said, when we want to do some cool stuff with YCC, we wanted to test out to see if the community would support a space. So I reached out to Josh and I said, hey, you got this little bit of space over at Boardman. Can we kick the tires on what it would look like outside of the shopping season? And Josh's immediate response was, absolutely, let's do it. And like, we were ready to go within a week. I think, he
awesome.
He did the build out, he did the stuff. He was pumped about it. He was a huge supporter from the get-go. And it worked tremendously for both of us. It was a great test for us. It was the right kind of community with his customers and our customers. And it gave us the ability to realize that we could have a full-time store. We had enough support that we would be able to actually go and make that commitment to have a full store. So Josh has been a tremendous partner and a tremendous friend over the years, and definitely somebody that we interact with at every level of all of our businesses. But the reason that we do is because of who he is. And those are the people that you want to surround yourself with, are just real good people.
I don't think I've ever been at that coffee shop and not feel the surge of energy as he walks through the door.
Yep.
And like, that's it. I mean, he has such a great aura about him that does make you smile. And that's absolutely a phenomenal quality to have, because things are hard, but when you see some, and nothing comes by people easily, that you do have to put the work behind anything that you have. Yep. That when you still see that person, their smile, their energy, it's like, yeah, let's keep this going. We don't want this to go away. So
no, it's hard to not be around that and not have the same, be hyped up about it. So I typically in the off season, I refer to the off season as outside of tax season. Fridays, you'll typically find me at one of the Stone Fruits for most of the day. I'll bring my laptop and I'll just hang out there and do my work there. It's just the right environment to be in.
It is. I like working out of there too. Actually, I miss working out of there. I can't wait till I could pop up a tape like at one of the tables or even at the chairs in the front and just drink some Bear Cub.
Yep.
And help me plug through work for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing that you are super excited about doing once the social distancing and the stay-at-home orders have been lifted?
Well, as you know, we have a group of guys that we play basketball with in the mornings, and it's become this family, this weird collective group of individuals that are all, professionals in different areas, and there are doctors and there are pastors and there are insurance guys and guys that work just all over the place, and that is undoubtedly what I've missed the most, is that community of people. I don't really do a ton of going out and about. We've got 2 little kids, so things are difficult to do as a group at this stage. But that's undoubtedly the thing that I miss the most is getting up. We play at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and we play for an hour and a half.
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yeah. So I undoubtedly right now, that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to, I think, the most, in terms of getting out of this routine, getting back into a normal routine again.
And so my husband plays with Tim as well, and we have a little friendly competition in our house about who can get the most steps in the day. But he takes off his watch during basketball. Now he likes, and I think I've asked you this question before, because he likes to say that it's like 7,000 to 10,000 steps he probably got during the game.
That's a fact. There's a couple of guys that wear their Fitbits or their pedometers while they play, and that's what they come up with at the end. Who the hell knows? I mean, you're running around, you're moving your arms. I don't know how accurate some of those things can be, especially when you're doing something like basketball. But
I believe Fitbits you can easily cheat and just go like this.
Yeah.
Not the Garmin's. The Garmin's don't let you cheat that way.
No. I mean, so I don't know how I don't think that any of those things are necessarily built for basketball, because you're moving in certainly different ways than you would if you were just out running or walking or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of those guys will kick off when they're wearing those things. But it's definitely, I mean, it's, if nothing else, it's just getting your day started. It forces you, It gives you an excuse to get out of bed. Some people really enjoy going to the gym. I've never been one of those guys. I mean, I don't mind working out. I've always played a ton of sports and have been pretty active, but to just go run on a treadmill or go do something like that is just, there's not enough competitive anything in that for me. I'm
not a gym person either. I'm not really a competitive sports person, but at least I don't think I am. But I love being outdoors. So for me, tennis, running, any hiking, anything along those lines always worked out for me. If I do go to a gym, it is a group class. I love Mega. I miss Erica's Mega Former classes that I'm a stumbling fool on, but I know that it's helping build my muscle. At least I'm hoping it is. But and I can't wait to get back to doing something like that. So.
And I think number 2 is ice cream.
Handles is back.
Yeah, I've seen some different remarks about that, where Handles is going to start doing carry out for places, whatever. So that's been.
I hope that's not fake news. I hope not.
I hope not.
That would be crushing if it is.
I've been thinking about Handles ice cream every day. I gave up sweets and booze for Lent. Yeah. And I'm a Handles junkie. I love Handles ice cream. So I'm anxiously awaiting both the end of Lent and when Handles starts, firing on ice cream again.
Well, we've Andy and I have been hoarding our handles. We actually got 3 quarts before they cut all of us off. And I think our children the other day saw it in the freezer and we're like, that's not yours.
I would be careful putting that out there to the public because, if for whatever reason things go south, I'm going to go find handles in people's houses. That's going to be my first looting project is, to go find all the handles.
Wherever the handles is at.
Right. I can smell it out. I've been a fat kid my whole life.
You follow it via their hashtags.
That's right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
And please, right, feel free to reach out to you for some advice, right?
Yeah, so now is the time where things are crazier than ever. But we undoubtedly are available to help our community when they need it the most. We're trying to do a ton of webinars with the Business Journal and try to keep the information going. People can go to our website, hddaviscpas.pro, and sign up for our newsletter. I have been sending out newsletters almost every day, if not every other day, for the last couple of weeks. I think that the most important thing through all this is effective communication. I think that's why Ohio's done a great job in kind of getting through this thing. Is we all know at 2 o'clock we're going to sit down and have a glass of wine with Mike DeWine.
You can't.
So that's been the key for us. I think is just continuing to communicate. So staying tuned to what we've got to as far as information, and if anybody needs help, we're happy to help wherever we can.
That's awesome. So I am going to say farewell, and I'm going to get my beer bottle opener so I can enjoy this Penguin City. And
nice.
I will think of you, but
yes, have one for me.
But come Wednesday, I'll cheers to you as from afar, of course.
You'll probably see me in my front yard just with a lawn chair and a large case of beers.
That's right. Wouldn't that be awesome? So thank you again.
Thanks, Lisa.
And
talk to you soon.
Have a happy holiday.
You too.
Bye.